The Rising Serpents, understanding what the hell Kundalini is. So, what is Kundalini and where does this practice originate from?
Did you want me to start?
Go for it, bud.
Oh, am I frozen?
You can go. Oh, and oof. Oof. You there, bud?
Hey, yeah, sorry, I keep cutting in and out. I'm just gonna use my cell service.
All right.
Yeah, where were we?
First question: what is it and where does it come from?
That's a really broad question. So you could say, oh, it comes from yoga or was it the Hindus or what? What was that Indian religion? But anyway, that's the idea, so to speak. Um, but the Kundalini energy, just like your chakra centers, have always been there since the conception of mankind. It's a part of your energy body. Um, but its ancient practice can be traced back to there and naming of it and all that kind of stuff. Um, what is Kundalini? That is a really big question. So I'm gonna try and find the best uh summary here. So a
As
good explanation of it is, oh, you go ahead.
a way that I would describe it, as if I was talking to somebody who is completely new to spirituality, is it is the idea of you getting to a point in your spiritual practice, getting to a point in your cleansing of body, your oneness with your spiritual higher self, your full connection with mind, body, spirit complex, and it is the absolute alignment of your chakras. It is the first, it is essentially what could be considered the first time you have achieved full alignment, and there's just such a rush of bliss, euphoria, understanding, perception. It's essentially your awakening 2.0 in the full spiritual sense.
Mm. And to tie into what Scuba was saying, essentially your chakras act as their own portals of energy, and they're called energy centers. But when they're completely aligned and cleansed, and you've reached a point of spiritual awakening, um, but that can be triggered by different things. We'll get into that later. But essentially, energy flows. You're all you're at that point of mastery. Did I cut out there? Where did you lose me?
Literally the last 5 seconds, like the last sentence that you said there.
What was the last thing I said?
I don't know, it was gerbled.
What was I talking about? I mean, where'd
You
you lose
were
me?
adding on to what I said.
Oh, essentially saying that's where seven of your chakras, the energy flows completely through all of them, all the energy centers where you've reached that point of mastery. Um, and each chakra is like a channel of energy flows and different kinds of energies that all work together. Um, and I'm gonna read like a textbook definition of it. In the yogic terminology, Kundalini refers to the coiled up energy at the base of your spine that lies dormant within you, and so that's where I guess a lot of the energy lies. That Kundalini energy is just really sitting there, but it leaks out, and sometimes you can get little triggers, but not full awakenings. Um, the Kundalini is essentially the prana within your body. That's another way of looking at the prana or the flow of the life force. Um, the, your body, your health with your all that stuff, you'll notice physical changes, blood flow. You'll be moving up your spine, emotions, and healing. Um, and actually, side note here, um, this is the power of do something as simple as reading about, let's say, the third eye chakra or the throat chakra or the heart chakra. It actually activates those centers a little bit. So you can actually feel an activation energy. Even watching this, reading about the Kundalini and how it works, you'll actually energies, sensations come to you. So look out for energy going up your skin and like heat as well. But I think that we touched on what it is. Um, if you think I can find more, let me know.
No, that was good. As it was pretty garbled, but we tried to make out as best as we could. um, yeah, your internet is not doing you kind today, but that's all right. We will push through. So, how may full Kundalini activation be attained, and what challenges come from the attempt? So, one of the big things that you need to understand is when you want to reach that point, it takes years of practice, as well as if you attempt to do it too early in your practice and you try to open up that dormant energy, it could be very bad for you. You could very much spiritually hurt yourself, and it's not good. Um, you know, in my opinion, it's a little bit of a it's an interesting gamble. Um, I'm still personally on the fence about Kundalini and its ideas because, in my opinion, it's just always there and it's, more or less just aligning your chakras. But, however, going by this idea that we do have this dormant energy, I would say, you know, like I, like I was saying, my brain, sorry. Um,
No, yeah, I totally agree with you. I definitely think there's two aspects. You have that dormant energy that's always there and it does affect you, but I do think that there is some sort of alignment that occurs where you can almost compare it to like the avatar, where you have that rush of energy, and that's how a lot of people explain it. Was that what you were trying to say?
yeah, and it's so far I've never personally met anyone outside of people on YouTube who have talked about it, and it's really hard to trust people on YouTube these days, and really anybody on the internet talking about spiritual experiences, because at the end of the day you don't know if they're trying to sell you something or if they're just telling a good story or not.
Yeah, no, it's actually super rare to experience a full awakening. I mean, anyone can experience the energies, and like I said, even just sitting through here, you might even feel some of it and experience a little bit of a release of that dormant energy. But a full-blown awakening um can take a lifetime to uh come to. But it can also be triggered through drugs, psychedelics. Um, that's something where you might want to be more careful with, as Scuba was saying. It can be triggered
That's
through
cheating.
trauma.
That's
Trauma
cheating.
can uh, trigger that. It can be done as a tantric or sexual practice, either by yourself or with a partner. And it can also be done through yoga, which is the most traditional method, aside from prayer and intention.
So, what is the process that follows a successful transference, and is there maintenance? 110% there is maintenance because this is a battle. This is not. This is not a mission. This is not a end destination, and once you get there, you have no worries. It is a constant battle for the rest of your life. You have to. It is staying at that state. You're at as much as possible. Once you get to that state in your mind, in your body, in your physiology, is to just be in this state as much as possible. But the problem is we live in a very polarizing world that will fluctuate your emotions. It doesn't matter if you're a monk. It doesn't matter if you're a yogi. If you come down to civilian life for long enough, it will corrupt you in some way, shape, or form. It is that is what it is designed to do. It is to corrupt. It's all it's there to do.
Yeah, you're certainly right. It took a certain amount of mastery to align and open all of your chakras to reach that point, and it's going to take a whole nother set of skills to maintain that balance and that mastery.
And don't let these gurus tell you that it's easy. No, it's not. It is not an easy feat to stay in a constant state of bliss in this reality, no matter what they tell you. Do you know why? Because it's constantly testing you. You think you've passed a test? All right, it's got another one sitting there right ready for you. It may be slower in its process to coming to you, but it is there and it's going to be ready and it's going to smack you hard in the face.
I have a real quick question. I've heard a couple people talk about having a random Kundalini experience. Now, they were on a spiritual path. I can't tell you for how long, or, I don't know the details, but, just having a random experience. How often does that happen? Or do you think they're just
Yeah,
a
More
little bit?
often than you think.
yeah.
So, I,
Sorry.
let me go. I think that's a attributation to multiple factors. One, it is in their soul contract that at some point, while they are doing their soul work unconsciously, they are to have a rapid wake up. Number one. Number two, they are in they are completely unaware. They're a good person. They're on a spiritual journey, but they're still a greenhorn in comparison to somebody who's been at this for years, like most of us here. When that happens, I like to think of that as a attribution to them accelerating their consciousness as well as it's in conjunction with a solar flare. They're getting a forceful activation that is, influenced by higher forces beyond them that they're only just starting to discover. As well as, those people might already take care of their bodies as it is. It's different with everybody.
I was curious, one more thing adding on to that. What I remember when I was younger, having these experiences that I would have, I don't know what word I would have used to describe it then, but looking back,
Supernatural.
but it was almost like this brief, instantaneous, serendipitous moment of just complete bliss and oneness. It was nothing orgasmic or sexual or any of the, it was just the way the
Euphoric.
breeze blew against me. It was just in the nature. It was something that was so fleeting, and it was almost like I I think it's what got me on my spiritual path, because it made me want to chase that feeling. Would you consider that to be a Kundalini experience?
Yes, I would. Because it is the complete utter just synchronous connection between your mind, body, soul complex. It is those three, instances of you connecting as one. Because the way we work, we have multiple distortions, as it states in the law of one, to where, we have to work through those distortions while, living in a third density reality confined to a meat suit containing, the essence of the God in the universe. So it's it's an interesting gamble, really understanding, your organic brain, your heart complex, and then your gut complex. You have your body's brain, you have your brain, and then you have your heart. Those are physical brains that are all working in tandem with each other. So it's fascinating.
Thank you. Now I have the answer to that. That's always been kind of a mystery to me, and we went to school tonight. So thank you.
Scoob, I'm gonna give you the next one because I don't know anything about it.
All right. Are there any masters from the modern day that have achieved Kundalini? And I'm going to say, I do not know, but be careful if someone tells you that they have, especially on the internet. I was talking about that just a little bit ago because it is something that I personally fear, because there are a lot of people that describe their experiences, but one thing that they fail to ever talk about is their maintenance with attaining it. They've always described it as once they got it, it's theirs forever and they never have to worry about it. And that's, to me, such an egotistical thing, because everything that I've learned, everything that I understand about humans and reality and the way everything works is change and moving forward, and growth is the name of the game. So the idea of just obtaining Kundalini and being static and not dynamic with that is hubris. It's absolutely hubris. I wish I could say that there are any masters that I know of. The only one that I could really think of personally is, of the seven rays, the masters that we've talked about that Junk went into last time he was here. It wasn't last time. It was when they gave a full talk about it. It's blanking on me right now. Not just Saint Germain, but all of them. Um, I guess if we're really talking about, oneness with ourselves and achieving that, those are the seven people we should be looking towards personally. But moving on. What is it about Kundalini that makes it a more unique form of meditative practice? So the one thing that I have found is, if you have the intention, so it's all about putting your intention into this, because if you're just an average person who hasn't already attained it or had a glimpse of it, like some of us here, you're searching for it, you're wanting to figure out what it feels like. You have to have pure 100% intention for it. You have to go into it in terms of not egotistically wanting it, not egotistically needing it, but desiring it in a way that is presented to you. You're willing to put the work in for it, You're not worried about when it comes to you. You know it's coming. You just know you're ready for it when it comes there, and you're patient. You know, it's one of those things to where you can't force it because it will never come to you if it's forced. Knox?
Oh, I think that was beautifully said.
No? Okay.
I don't know if I can add to that.
No, you're good. So, what would a planetary-wide Kundalini awakening look like, and is it possible? So, reading this question, a lot of us in the New Templars community, if they've heard me talk for a while, you guys can kind of guess where I'm leading towards that, and it's entirely possible. What would it look like? It would be the instantaneous rewriting of the way humanity thinks on a fundamental level, and how long it would last, I think that would vary to person, especially the intensity of what would make that event possible. And that would be not a destructive solar flare, but a solar flare that is powerful enough to wake us up and put us through the harvest cycle, but not powerful enough to burn us all alive. Which is a very fine line, believe it or not. Xenox, do you want to concur?
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine what that would be like. I mean, what would you do if you were flying a plane or driving a car and all of a sudden you're having a blissful, almost orgasmic experience and you
I'm gonna be real, bud.
hallucinate? Like, I don't know.
I'm gonna be real. Um, if it happens the way I think it will, there will be no planes in the sky.
Uh,
That power grid would have been already destroyed by other solar flares before that one.
I see. So it's more of like uh an aftershock, or I don't know. I
It,
get what
it
you're saying, but it's hard to
it's
explain.
not an aftershock. It's a different type of solar flare. Like, we have to remember that a solar flare to take out the power grid is not that far away. The solar flare to awaken humanity to fourth density, full fourth density, we're space cousins with aliens. Like, that's still a couple decades away. But the one that takes out the current power grid, that doesn't mean that another one won't be in place before then. That's the big hope. Um, the current power grid, that could very well be taken out tomorrow. Like, that's any day. So that's one of those things that it's just like, if it's out, it's out. We gotta live through it. It will be panic for a good while, but we gotta live through it. But I doubt that will happen. I'm just saying that's just kind of the whole playbook that all of these people have talked about when it comes to a planetary wide mass global awakening. You know, they've never just flat out said that we're going to have it in, technology that's 2023. That's, that's many decades in the future. We very well may be a Stone Age type of civilization when that happens, and start over again. I'm not saying the world will completely be destroyed. That one I'm still on the fence about. But that's all I wrote for today on Kundalini. As far as space stuff, I don't got my wingman today. He's under the weather. so he wasn't able to get me any photos for this week. So it's relatively a short one, which I apologize. But I did want to spend this week to have some time to talk about some stuff. We talked about some current events. It was a short conversation, not anything of big extent, but I know that, current events are always on our mind, and we're always wondering what each other's thinking about of what's going on. And it is definitely a very interesting game that we have to sit here and watch and eat popcorn for. And so far, a lot of us are pretty fat on popcorn because we've been eating it for damn near 4 years now.
Yeah, there has to be a meme of like a fat Pepe eating popcorn.
Seriously, like at this point, like he's just straight up waiting. I wonder if I could figure that out with like Mid-Journey or something, like a fat Pepe eating popcorn.
Yeah.
And some footage coming in right now that there's gunfire erupting at the border with several confirmed killed, and not really sure if it's stopped yet or what's going on, but this is going to get ugly as this Title 42 expires.
Yeah, well, I can't feel bad, unfortunately. We knew it was something like this was coming. Trump has been talking about the border erupting for years at this point.
Afterthought question. You think that Trump will start getting more active on Twitter now that Tucker's on there?
Good question. That is a lot of people saying that Tucker might be his VP.
Well, one thing I want to pitch in is that Tucker didn't say he was going to be exclusive to Twitter, so we might see him pop up on other platforms as well.
Be interesting, a Truth Social Tucker Carlson crossover event.
Yeah, he could do that thing where people have multiple profiles and they upload everything there. Who knows? He also has his own website where he posts his videos.
He's got enough money. He could do like Glenn Beck did with the Blaze and start off on there where he's doing the satellite radio and the network on Pluto. That would be easy enough for him. Or just join the Blaze but I think he'd want to start his own thing probably.
Yeah, well, I think right now the worst thing he could do is start his own thing and then hide it behind a paywall, like a pay here website, and then you can watch my show. I think he would lose like millions, tens of millions of followers. People that one that wouldn't be able to afford that, two just don't want to pay.
Who would?
Oh, I'm saying it would be an unwise decision for Tucker Carlson to do his own thing on his website and then hide it behind a paywall. But I don't think he's gonna do that.
I don't know. People would buy it.
Yeah, not as much as you would think.
Good point. Alrighty, guys. You got anything else you want to share, talk about, ask questions before we head off for the night? I shall take that as a no. Alrighty, guys. You have yourselves a wonderful night. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you. We love you. And we will see you next week on another special episode of Mystery School in the New Templars community. And as always, keep on seeking. Good night, guys. See you soon.